Shalom. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring on truth and sincerity. To USA Shalom. This brother Amon Ariel from the GM Charlotte camp, coming back with another Lord willing edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And in this lesson, I want to go into how we are in perilous times, okay, and it's important for you brothers and sisters that are in the faith to understand the position that we are in as far as concerning the times we're about to enter into, because even though we're not seeing the effects of what is going on here and now in this current moment, we will see these things coming, very soon. All right, this situation that we see happening with, this war going on between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed. This is a big deal, okay? And like I said, this isn't something that will be immediately felt, but the effects of what are going to happen in the coming days, and even if they open the Strait of Hormuz back up, fully to America, it's still, prophecy, it's going to take place, as far as we know that it's evil times coming. All right, we know that we're in a time of famine. All right, we're in a time of great evils coming upon the earth, and I have a couple videos I wanted to play, to speak on this. But before I get into it, I want to start here in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and 15, and it reads, "See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is." All right. And this is something that all of us have to take into an account, because, man, a prophecy is, taking place whether a lot of Jake realizes it or not, man. All right. And if you are in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, hey, we're keeping eyes on everything that's going on. And so, like I said, we're not out here, walking, aimlessly like the rest of the world is, man. All right. We are paying close attention to what's going on. And like I said, if you're not, economically inclined to understand, what exactly is happening, all right, it's a multiplicity of videos that's out here, not only from the Akim, but you have certain channels, just give an example, like you got that Goop, I think his name is Professor J, and he's going into the importance of, why the Strait of Hormuz is so critical, to the states over here, man, because that area is, vital for trade when it comes to America. All right, not only for oil, but for the straight goods, period. So like I said, we are about to witness, a dramatic change in the near future. All right, and it doesn't even have to stem all the way from this situation, but we understand how prophecy, dictates as far as what we're to expect. Okay, because when you look at the process of what's going on, it will be a famine of food coming. All right. And Salakia, I'm going to get into it, but I just wanted to set the stage, because everything is playing a part in what is leading up to the famine. All right. So this is why I'm saying, all right, you can't be foolish out here, not understanding what the will of the Lord is, man, because we know that we're all heading to that big test of the hour of temptation, because what Esau Edom is doing, all right, is hoarding all the world's resources to himself, okay, as he is, dwindling accessibility to the things that's vital for us to be able to survive. And he's going to make it to where you have to go, like the curses say, we have to go to him for the one of all things. All right, so we understand that it's going to be a lack of goods that's going to be made available for the people to survive, which is going to in turn cause, mass confusion. All right, total anarchy, societal anarchy, which is what they want. All right, so as it says in verse 16, redeeming the time because the days are evil. We got to understand we're not in peaceful times. We're not in times to where you can just move lackadaisical. No, you have to understand the will of the Lord. Hey, we're coming to a point to where faith is going to have to be exercised on the highest level, because we're going to get to a point to when Babylon the Great society is pretty much eroded. We will have to completely walk out on faith and understand that we no longer will have the ability to rely on the current society to be able to nourish us. All right, we're going to have to completely unplug from the matrix and allow Yahweh Shem Yahushua to be that provider for us, because Esau Edom has changed the way that the world is supposed to be. And like I said, the things that the Lord made accessible to man for our survival, he had stripped and weaponized, man. All right, I'll grab this here. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 24. It says, as his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. And one of the reasons, why we understand, what the will of the Lord is, the Lord wants to see how far you're willing to go in your belief in him and your faith in him, man. All right. So as he, organizes, events in the world to take place, it's all to be a testament of your faith in him, man. Okay. So as it says, his ways are plain to the holy. We understand that everything the Lord is doing is to be a test unto us, because like it says in Sirach, the 2nd chapter, okay, it says, when thou comest to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So we understand that in this current regime that we're living in, okay, this is Satan's world, all right, and we're living under the rule of the physical incarnate of Satan, all right. And so the Lord, just like how he allowed Satan to test Job, the Lord is allowing the Edomites to do exactly what, we read in Job, all right, as far as using him as the conduit to try our faith, all right. And what he's about to do is put it to where you're either going to rely on him as your God, or you're going to rely on Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So to the elect, that's a no-brainer. We're gonna put all our faith on the elect. On the elect. We're gonna put our faith on Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Salakia. It says, but the Lord's ways are stumbling blocks unto the wicked, because the people have been indoctrinated by the madness of Christianity, of Catholicism, the doctrines of this world, to where, like the scriptures say, the people have been, taught the fear of the Lord off the precept of men. So when it comes to understanding how Yahweh Shem Yahushua operates, if it goes outside of the parameters of what they see the Most High is capable of, they will not accept that. That's why you hear Jake say stupid shit, talking about, that my God wouldn't do that. You don't know what your God will do, because you don't know the Most High. You don't know, the terror of the Lord. You don't know, all right, because you've been lied to through the indoctrination of this devil, okay? You don't know how Yahweh Shem Yahushua's mannerisms are, okay? But we understand, all right? So it says, for the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are good. All these things are for the good to the godly, so to the sinner are they turned into evil. And the things that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua deemed essential, for man's life, Esau Edom has took unto himself, and ultimately he has weaponized it, all right, to use as a tool to get the people to bow and submission unto him, all right. But we understand that, food, raiment, shelter, these things aren't, they aren't, given to us by Esau. It's given to us of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. So that's why at the end of the day, understanding the will of the Lord, we understand who is the one that's in charge of, feeding and clothing, feeding and clothing us, man. But you have to understand the situation that we're in, because the fact of the matter is this. All right. Grab this real quick. You people are fooled by the convenience that has been allowed for y'all to live under, to where you're not paying attention to what exactly is going on. All right. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 21. It says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." And that's the point that we're at today. All right. Just because you can go to your average, fast food joint, or even to the store, all right, and you're able to get, which is, becoming harder to come by, but you're able to get, a 4 for 4 from Wendy's. You have the, different stores that you're able to find deals at for food. Okay, you're able to get, gas for under $4. See, look, we're here in the Carolinas, man, North Carolina, even in South Carolina, different parts of America. All right, we're able to get gas cheaper than other parts of America. All right, and to us, and that looks like a good deal. That's why people aren't tripping. Okay, hey, right now, I'm currently in Atlanta. All right, visiting about to go visit the Akim, Lord willing, this weekend. But on the road we see gas was $3.99. All right, but we see over, I believe it was in Vegas or LA, I saw earlier this week that gas is almost $10 a gallon. All right, but like I said, over here, you just talk about it over here. Okay, you try to tell people about this situation with Iran, all right, and how possibly this is going to affect the economy, and nobody really pays attention to that, because they're able to live their life how they've been able to. All right, like I said, you're able to fill up on a gas your car for a reasonable amount. You're able to go and get groceries and be able to move freely like you want. But it's not really what you think, because as things progress, man, we're going to see evils continually to grow upon the earth. This is why, like I said, man, redeeming the time to know that the days are evil. Hey, you're not in the position to try to move out here aimlessly, not realizing that, hey, things are trading towards the worst. Okay, because like I said, if you're paying attention to what's going on, all right, since Trump has been in office, okay, we have seen, let's use the farmers for an example. All right, the farmers have been crying out about how the sanctions and the different things that he's been doing to these countries have been affecting them, to the point to where we're cutting into, all right, the crops that are supposed to be put aside for the upcoming year. So we're actually in a food famine now. All right. Not only that we're actually eating food that's not really real. Okay, it's been reports coming out about how this food isn't real anymore, man. You have bioengineered ingredients, GMO foods. All right, it's come out that 90% of the ground beef it contains human DNA. All right. In different parts of the world, the food that we eat over here in America is banned in most countries, like Like chicken, the American chicken that we eat over here, all right, is banned in Europe. Why is that? Because this shit has been tainted. You know, that's why the scriptures tell us. And I'm gonna get the videos in a minute. All right, I want to grab this real quick. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 13, and it reads, "And the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their bread, their foul bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them." All right, so the fact that we're eating fake food lets us know that we're in an engineered famine already, and we've been in an engineered famine. The food that we're eating is not real. All right, it's tainted, it's defiled. Like I said, you're eating human DNA. All right, it come out that these elites are injecting, the M to the R to the NA, into the meat. Okay, like I said, you're eating bioengineered ingredients, GMO foods. This is why disease is at an all-time high, because we're not eating real food, man. All right, people are amassing, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, and the list of diseases go on because we're not eating real food, man. So we're in the midst of a famine now, but we're going to get even worse into that, because it's going to come to where it's going to be a shortage of what's available already, which leads me to the video that I wanted to play.
AJ shocks the world by announcing that he's dying, but his...
Good morning, folks. How are you folks doing this morning? Once again, today's date is March 9th, 2026. Now, this is actually something I want to talk about that I've actually talked about before. I talk about the coming famine that we're going to experience. Normally, guys, just to let you know, when I get on topic like this, something that doesn't sit well with a few people due to the fact that it kind of go against their belief of reality, and it kind of damage it. So in a way, they kind of have to accept what reality is, and they really don't want to. So they, instead of like give into it, they push back. So people will message me, and I will get, profanity and stuff like that because of this type of topic, but that's okay. I still do it because I really want people to be aware of what's really happening. And what I'm trying to say right now and talk about is that there is a decline in farmland, farms, and also cattle. Now, it's not just here in the US or Canada or Mexico on the Western world. This is happening all over the world because what I've come to realize is that oil help with fertilizer, it help with certain chemicals that farmers need, and these things are getting out of control. The price of these things is insane. Regular farmers can no longer afford them. So a lot of farms are basically forced to close. Now, I'm going to run some numbers for you. They're mind blowing, and a lot of people will be shocked by this. Actually, last year, 2025, 15,000 farms in the U.S. were closed, and these farms were actually pretty decent sized farms. They weren't really small operation. But when I go back to all the way to 2018, what I've come to realize is that it's 150,000 farms have closed their door in the past 7 years, folks. 150,000 farms. So basically, looking at the trend of what I see happening is that 20,000 plus farms are being closed, or is closing pretty much every year since 2018. 20,000 in the US. Think about that, folks. What do you see unfolding in the future with
And what's unfolding is a manufactured famine. Okay, these elites want a famine to take place because they want the people to submit unto them. And one of the main ways of how submission is forced is by them, taking away the access to, food and water. Okay, and we know that, especially when it comes to, Jake. That's the main tool that will be used for that. Okay, and so this is why you've been seeing, really, it really started being reported on back during like 2020 and on. The the gates of hell. Okay, he has been buying up all the farmland here in America to where he is the owner of the majority of the farmland here in America, as well as you have companies like Monsanto, which has created what they call a terminator seed, to where they have the ability to pretty much control all the seeds in America, and where if their seeds end up on a particular farmer's property, they're able to claim ownership of that farm and its crops, because they say that their property has pretty much made contact with the farmer, so now they own it. And this ultimately shows you the point that we're at, because not only is nothing real anymore, this is just further proof that we don't own anything, man. Okay, this is the book of Joel, chapter 1, verse 15. It says, "Alas, for the day, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. Is not the meat cut off from our eyes? Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our power." Because when you look at the consumption rate of how meat is consumed here in America and how it's served here in America, there's not enough meat to service the consumption of the consumers, to provide enough to feed everybody. So that's why you have the thing now to where they're telling you that, hey, if you want to continue to eat meat, you're gonna have to eat the lab grown meat. They're talking about clone meat. All right, and that's something that these elites, starting with the gates of hell, all right, have invested millions of dollars into, to where you're not going to be eating real meat anymore, man. And we have seen that as of late, because like I said, man, nothing is real anymore, man. All right, and so the access to real food and water is about to be denied real soon, man. Okay, it says, "Is not the meat cut off from our from before our eyes? Yea, joy and gladness from the house of our power. The seed is rotten under their clods. The garners are laid desolate. The barns are broken down, from the corn is wither." And this is why I said, man, hey, you're not eating real food anymore, man. Okay, we're eating completely GMO, bioengineered ingredients. All right, and like I said, that it's illegal for you to even own your own garden anymore, man. So this is why at the end of the day, these devils are seizing control of everything, because they want ownership of all things, to make you submit and bow the knee unto them, so that you can declare them to be your God, man. All right. It says, "How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed, because they have no pasture. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate." And this is why we're seeing, not only with the food, with the crops, because now we have things, I believe it's called it's like mono damn, what's the name of that? Let me see. I'm gonna have to Google that. I can't remember the name of that, but it's like mono something. Is it monocropping? All right, yeah, it's monocropping. It says monocropping is the agricultural practice of growing a single crop species, such as corn, soybeans, or wheat, on the same land after year. While it increases short-term efficiency, specialization, and profitability through mechanized large-scale production, it causes severe long-term damage, including soil nutrient depletion, high pest susceptibility, and biodiversity loss. Right, and monocropping is detrimental to the land. Not only are they not keeping the land savage, but by doing that, All right, you're not, you're not giving, the land. All right, it's a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a certain way of how you farm. And when you plant. Okay, that's by them doing the monocropping. Okay, it essentially they take a big portion of the farmland and use that specifically for one, specific crop. Let's use corn for example. That's detrimental to that land because the biodiversity of planting those different seeds, all right, it gives the land different nutrients to help it prosper, as well as give life to the different animals and insects that are native to that land. All right, and then on top of that, to keep those crops from being destroyed. This is why you have companies like Monsanto that are constantly spraying their pesticides and insecticides on those chemicals onto those products. And like I said, it's detrimental to the land. Not only adding to the fact that they don't keep the land Sabbath, man. All right, the land Sabbath tells us that we're supposed to, after 7 years, give that land rest. That's why when you go into like, with Gad, they got that from the scriptures. But when they after 7 years and when they would move and migrate to another portion of land, whatever was left there, they will burn it. All right, which will pretty much allow the land to reset and begin to recover. Esau don't do that. He just milks the land until there's nothing left. All right, that's why going back to Joel 1:17 again. It says the seed is rotten under their clods, the garners are laid desolate, the barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed, because they have no pasture, yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. And this is why, the meat is tainted. Okay? Hey, you have a lot of these people that come out and tell you pretty much to go vegan, because the meat is destructive to our bodies, man, because of the inhumane ways that the animals are slaughtered, of how they're housed. All right, they're trapped up in like a mini jail cell to where they're not able to freely roam and graze the grass. All right, hey, they're fed bullshit. You giving cows fucking corn, you know, giving the chickens slop and all the, and like I said, and the way that they're inhumanely slain. Okay, we're ingesting all the stress hormones that are the animals are pretty much going through, which is destroying our bodies, man. So we're in a worst case scenario. So what this dude was going into is heavy, because all this plays into the famine that we're going into. All right, so you can watch the rest of this. I'll play a little bit more, but
Food supply. What do you see coming? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. It really doesn't. It's really just numbers. Just look at the effect. Look at the compound effect we are about to encounter. And again, as I said, this is the type of information where people are going to get uncomfortable hearing, but I'm
yeah,
giving you guys the
yeah.
truth, because if you actually get,
Because the people don't want to accept reality, man. They don't want to accept that the things that what, because really we're saying the same thing through the spirit. We've been warning about a famine. All right, not only a famine of food and water, but a famine of the word, because that's the most important thing. All right, but yeah, just as much as the famine of food, like I said, it's a famine of water coming too. All right, like I said, you can watch the rest of this video. I'll show this one
It's
as well.
official. We're running out of fucking water. And no, I'm not being dramatic. The UN has officially declared that we have entered global water bankruptcy. We will be running out of clean water, things that you use for drinking, cooking, showering, in the next few years. We are not mad enough about this, nor are people even educated about this. Because what is leading this crisis are the fucking AI data centers. The things that they convinced us that we need so we can make more AI generated slop.
All right, and if you're not familiar with what he's talking about as far as the AI data centers, all right, it's been reported that the AI needs an exuberant amount of gallons of water to be able to cool down those data centers, and the communities that surround where those data centers are located are reporting on how destructive they are to the environment, to where that water becomes toxic. All right, So it's using up all the water to where you have not only a water shortage that is beginning to take place. Okay, the people are pretty much succumbing to that radiation poison that's coming off these data centers as well, man. We play a little bit more.
It's another reason why I hate these damn AI gurus that you guys keep falling for online. We are running out of fucking water. We do not need robots that bad. We do not need artificial intelligence when we have real human intelligence walking the earth. And at the same time, we have the Epstein class bombing children like never before. Humans are going extinct at a rapid rate. What the fuck are we doing? We are not mad enough about this. They're bringing down the population at historic levels to replace us with fucking robots.
Because it's a depopulation agenda, man. These devils are trying to honor that Georgia Guidestones, that we talked about. All right, that they ironically blew up a few years ago. But in the Georgia Guidestones, it talks about how they want to keep the population under 500 million, I believe. So what we're seeing is a manufactured famine about to really hit home. And like I said, to the people, they don't really want to acknowledge it because it's not affecting them yet. But it's best that you get ahead of the curve and understand the time that we're in before we really see these things unfold, man. All right. This is Lamentations chapter 5 and verse 4. It says, "We have drunken our water for money. Our water is sold unto us," right? And we understand that, it's been a war on the water, all right, as well being taking place because water, is the majority of the earth, all right? And tell me why we have to, literally get the majority of our water from these different companies like Nestle, Aquafina, Dasani, Fiji, and so on, because these devils have literally poisoned the water supply because when Gad was over here before Esau came and started destroying America, we have all these, these rich water sources. You had the spring water that came forth from the mountains. All right. You had, different water sources. You actually have something called an aquifer, which an aquifer is a underwater, water source into which these devils are trying to seize, which is another reason why we see, the situation happen with Iran was due to that aquifer, that they have over there. But these devils are trying to, seize up, all possession of water. So we're about to see a situation to where, clean water is no longer going to be accessible. The only water that we have today is these waters that's tainted by these companies, like I just mentioned. All right, which we have to drink our water and BPA. All right, it's fluorinated. Okay, we're literally drinking recycled, piss and shit water. It's a term. One of the brothers in New York went into it a couple of years ago. I forget the name of it, to where pretty much the water that we're drinking, all right, is not only, like I said, it's recycled, sewage water, but the drugs that these people that they're on, the different pharmaceuticals, that water is still tainted by those pharmaceuticals. So the things that we're drinking, man, we're literally being poisoned as we speak. Like I said, not only that, like it's the fluoride in the water, all right, amongst other shit, So we're literally living in a worst case scenario, which is why we need Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to be able to take care of us in these days. And that's why at the end of the day, if you are of the elect, you got to understand that you can't allow the fear of the lack of our needs to overtake your logical thinking, because that's how Esau Edom is going to get the majority of the people, because they don't understand who is the true one that nourishes us, man. All right, let's get this real quick. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and I start at verse 28. It says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both body," which are able to destroy both soul and body in hell, and not two sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fail on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs on your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are more value than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him shall I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. This is why we're in a point in time to where the true believers of Yahweh Shem Yahushua are standing upon their feet, and we're confessing the Lord, all right, before men, so that we can be vindicated, and have that standard lifted for us in that day. All right, you're gonna have a lot of people deny Yahweh Shem Yahushua off of fear and off of the hatred, to where they think the Lord is unrighteous for allowing this devil to do what he's doing. All right, but we understand the will of the Lord, and this is why, like I said, we're making our body a living sacrifice, testifying of our power. That way, we can be delivered in the time of trouble, because that's what we're entering into, man. All right, I'm gonna jump down. Slocky, this ain't the right chapter. Slocky, that's not it. Bear with me. I know it was in this chapter. What the hell? If not, I'll quote it, but I can't remember exactly where it's at. So, Salakia. Yeah, here we go. Matthew 6. Salakia. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 25. It says, "Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what will ye put on? Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment?" This is why at the end of the day, like I was going into when I opened the lesson in that Ephesians, okay, understanding the will of the Lord wants to put us in this situation to see how far our faith, will go for him. All right. And we're willing, all right, to endure whatever it is the Lord has set for us, because we know that the Lord is going to take care of his elect. All right. Real quick to prove that. Matter of fact, no, I'm going to read this and I'm going to continue on before I go into that. It says, verse 25, verse 26, "Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if the Most High so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore take not thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed?" Because that's how the heathen think. All right. "For after these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things." So, and that the proof of that is what I read in Sirach 39, man. The Lord knows the principal things of man. He knows what we need. He knows that that we have to have the nourishment to be able to survive, especially in these upcoming times. But you can't allow the fear of the unknown to overtake your logical thinking, because that's what the devil is going to prey on. All right, the people in their ignorance, not realizing that the nourishment is what it comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, not him. All right, he's trying to establish himself as a God on earth, not realizing that it's the Most High that's the one in control. He's the one that determines who eat and drink. That's why you hear this bullshit ass narrative that they're running with, speaking about how the world is overpopulated. That's the farthest thing from the truth. The Lord created the earth. All right, so you don't think that he's able to provide for all the people and the creations, of the different creatures on the earth? Hey, it's lands on this earth that's not inhabited. That's proof in itself to show you that there's more than enough, resources on this earth to provide for all mankind. But this devil will sit there and tell you that that's a lie. All right, he tell you that the earth is overpopulated. It's not enough resources. Well, you don't understand the mind of the Heavenly Father, man. All right, because if you get in here, because they'll tell you, the people need to stop having children. There's too many people on the earth. That's bullshit, man. All right, real quick, I want to get this. This is the book of Psalms 127 and verse 5. Okay, I started verse 3. It says, "Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of his womb is a reward." And why is children a heritage from the Lord? Because children are an extension of the man. All right, especially having a son, because that son is a continuance of that man's legacy. But children are heritage from the Lord, because that's a gift that the Lord gave you to extend your line. All right, and even the daughters are given to allow the men to reproduce. So whether you're given a son or a daughter, that's a blessing from the Lord. All right, it says, "As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are his children. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate." And this is something that's not even spoke upon, because but due to the lie of overpopulation, all right, due to the circumstances of how Esau has made the world so fucked up, you got men that are literally snipping their rod, all right, and pretty much cut, and women too. They're tying their tubes to where they're making it to where they don't want to have children, all right, and they're allowing the Esau to be able to cut off their reproductive organs, all right, to stop children from coming into the earth. This is why you see now, like Gen Z, for an example. Gen Z, all right, is the least generation that are bringing forth children. All right, this generation is having the least amount of sex out of all the past generations, showing you that narrative is being pushed. All right, and it's mainly due to the fear of not being able to provide for a family. But that's where the faith of the Lord kicks in at, man. All right, I'm gonna grab this real quick. This is in the text commentary, David Guzik, for that verse. All right, Psalms 127 and 3. So it said, "Children are a heritage from the Lord. Solomon considered the wisdom of trusting the Most High in the building of a house, but he also understood that a home is built by more than bricks and wood. He called upon all to see, behold, that children are a blessing." It said, jumping down to the second one, it says, "Let the fruitful family, however poor, lay this to heart. Children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of his womb is his reward, and he who gave them will feed them, for it is a fact, and the maxim form on it has never failed. Wherever God sends mouse, he sends meat." And that's why we read earlier, dealing with the sparrows. Hey, the Lord has enough food out here to where he can feed all of his creation. That's why at the end of the day, you can't allow that narrative that Esau is pushing, to overtake your better judgment. Because the first commandment that was given to man was to do what? To be fruitful and multiply, man. All right. And that's why at the end of the day, the Lord says, behold, here in Matthew 6 and 26 again, it says, "Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. All right. The birds don't do the work of the Lord. Yet he gives them food, he clothes them, he housed them. Okay. Are you not much better than they? Are we not much better than the animals? Especially dealing with the Israelites, man. We're the Lord's chosen people, you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. So you don't think the Lord can take care of you? All right. When we've been promised, all right, let's go here. Isaiah 65 and 13. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. So the Lord is going to feed his elect, and that's the thing that we have to rely on and know in the times that we're coming into, man. Your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is gonna propel us not to bend the knee to this devil, man. Because the Lord, and we have the stories for our learning. Like it says, let me get that real quick. I'm about to wrap this up, but it's just the spirit of the Lord. This is Romans 15 and 4. And whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. All right. And if the spirit will enter into the time of the Passover, right? Well, we're about to see, the next great Passover, to where the Lord is going to deliver us out of the North Country, man, North America, Babylon the Great. All right. And just like, when we was in the wilderness after the first exodus out of Egypt, all right, the Lord sustained Israel by doing what? He gave us, a manna from heaven. All right. He gave Israel, quail, to our filling. All right. He used Moses to split the rock of Horeb, to where he literally had water come out of a rock. Okay. He has the example of Elijah being, fed bread by the ravens. The ravens led him to a brook where he was able to drink. Okay, when Daniel was in the lion's den, he had Habakkuk, all right, via angel, deliver him food. It's many of examples that we have to show you that the Lord is faithful and true in his promise, man. If we're of the elect, us in our house, we're going to be good. But you have to have the faith and believe that, man. Otherwise, that unbelief, all right, and that fear is going to cause you to forsake the Lord, and you're going to be destroyed, man. All right, because you're gonna, in your ignorance and in your fear, you're gonna run to Esau, and you're gonna take that chip. This is why everything that we're seeing is all leading up to that one moment, which is what? Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. All right, in the NLT it says the time of testing, which shall come upon all the world to try them which dwell upon the earth. All right, that gut check moment, to where when Esau mandates and implements this mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, to the whole world, and whether if you want to be a part of the new society, you're gonna have to take that chip. All right, if you want to be able to eat and drink, buy and sell, all right, which is going to allow you to get your food, your water, to be able to pay for your shelter, to be able to do anything in this society, you're going to have to take that microchip, which is the new idol that Esau is setting up to declare that you say that Esau is your God and you forsake the Lord. That's what's going to be the deciding factor between who's the elect and who is the 2/3, because the elect, they're not going to bow to me. The scriptures say the Lord has set, 7,000 men, all right, reserved 7,000 men that's not going to bow the knee to Baal, man. So the elect is, they're going to bow down, man. And Lord willing, that's, all of us that's laboring and believing the truth, all right, the Lord's going to take care of us, man. So all we got to do is continue to keep the faith, all right, to fight the good fight of faith, and Lord willing, we earn our crowns, man, all right. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to end it here. I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, I say shalom.